Hey family, it's Dr. J. So glad that you're here with us. We're back for another episode of Seconds. Today's going to be a little different because I'm going to be answering some questions that we've gotten from some of our youth at our church, and just kind of sharing my thoughts, my just ideas, what the Bible says on some of these things. But I'm excited because I just got back from the UK, from England. I don't even know what day it is. My body is like all over the place. So if you see me kind of fall asleep in the middle, it's because I'm jet lagged. And no, but I'm just glad to be back. Glad to be back in California. Had an awesome time. I was over there worshiping with the Tottenham Lighthouse Church for their music day. So we had an awesome time there, celebrating and celebrating all different styles of music. And I'm glad that I had the opportunity to go out there and share and be a part of that experience. But now I'm back home, we're ready to hit the ground running. And today we're here at Seconds, and we're going to be answering some questions. So I actually have my daughter with me. She's not going to be on screen, but she's going to hear her voice asking some question. My eldest daughter, Jordan. I was telling her to wave, but she's not going to be on screen. But she's over there in the room, in the podcast room. She kind of works behind the scenes. She's one of those behind the scenes people, but we're glad that she's in the space. So, Jordan, can you just say hi and then give us our first question? What's the first question we got?
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Seconds. Our first question that we have is, have you ever struggled to believe in God while seeing so much pain and injustice in the world? And what helped you hold on?
Have you ever struggled to believe in God while seeing okay, while I was away, it seemed like all hell broke loose here in America. Like, I was watching the news in the UK, and just seeing all the stuff that was happening with ICE, seeing all the stuff that was happening down in LA, the riots, watching it on the news, hearing the perspective from outside, and it was just like, wow, like how is this happening? Like it almost seems surreal. Like, when we sit here in America and we look at the news in different countries and watch how things are unfolding, it's like, man, that couldn't be here. I was sitting over there looking like, is this the real world? Is this really happening? Is this real life?
Crazy.
It is crazy. And what it centers around is really injustice for people. I heard stories of families being split apart, just people being ripped out of, children being left without their parents, people being detained and just deported, all that kind of stuff. And it is just wild to see that kind of injustice, and it honestly pains my heart, because I can imagine myself being put in that position, or one of my family members, what it would feel like to have my parents ripped away, or be ripped away from my children. And it just hurts. So as a Christian, as a believer, you pray for these things. You kind of pray that God, gives peace and gives wisdom to navigate. But what do you practically do? I'm not even sure what you can practically do, because there's just so much to unpack. But as believers, it shouldn't surprise us, because this stuff was foretold. This stuff was said that it would get worse in the last days, and we just see the signs of the time unfolding. But as believers, we have to stay rooted in what God has called us to do, that is to show and be the hands and feet of God, which is love. So, caring for those people, checking on people, being, just being kind, being caring, being considerate, looking out for that elderly person, looking out for your neighbor, regardless of their situation, and just treating people how you would want to be treated. I think it just comes down to living out the golden rule. Do unto others as you would love them do unto you. And then when you treat people with that kind of respect, it kind of allows you to, allows people to hold on, and gives them the courage to stand in different places. So hope that answers that.
Okay. Our next question says, have you ever felt let down by the church or Christians, and how did that affect your relationship with God?
Whoa. Have I ever felt let down
by the church or Christians, and how did that affect your relationship
Y'all
with
kids are
God?
going for broke right now. Okay, so have I ever felt let down? There's a big YES. Yes, I've felt let down by the church and Christians?
Yes, and Christians.
Really? This is how you want to start this Wednesday? Yeah, I felt let down. Case in point for me, I guess, for me, just my story. I'll go back to high school. I was, I guess, made an example of because I had a child out of wedlock. I had a child as a teenager. That child is in the room today, working behind the scenes. But
Hey guys.
but yeah, I was kicked out of school. I was going to a Christian school, going to an Adventist school, going to Christian school, and I was kicked out, and I felt let down in the fact that I wasn't given any options to succeed. I wasn't given any like a pathway to success, even though I made a mistake. I wasn't given a roadmap to how to make this right, how to still be better, how to succeed, how to graduate. I was in the 11th grade, so how to just get to that next step. So now with me in ministry, I'm very aware, or I try to be aware of how decisions or how choices that I make or that people make, how it affects their future, and wanting to create pathways, create options, create ways of to be restored, because that wasn't given to me. I had to figure it out. And sometimes there's things in life where you have to figure it out. You have to figure it out the hard way because you made mistakes. But there's not many people who walked with me in the church. I mean, I had my parents who kind of guided me and supported me and got me the resources I needed. But the church per se wasn't really there in that capacity. And there were a handful of people that kind of stepped in. There's a handful of people in my life that kind of stepped in, but the church per se wasn't there as a restoring place, wasn't there as a place to hold me up. And I think that's what I want. Well, I believe the church should be. It should be a place, call you out when you're wrong. It can, tell you about yourself, but at the same time, also give you a pathway to making it better, making things right, growing and developing and becoming stronger and wiser. And that for me, that's something I carried for a while, that resentment for the church. And I mean, I've shared here, if anybody has a reason not to be a part of this church, it's me. I've felt the brunt of people. I felt the brunt of just the political side of church, and I've put my trust in God and kind of listened to what He was calling me to do, and kind of locked in with that. And those voices kind of faded to the side. But I've felt that some type of way about the church. But what I've done with that is I've used it as a basis for my ministry and how I treat people, how I treat, handle conflict, how I handle, missteps and mishaps, and just try to understand that I was once there too. So.
I kind of have a follow-up question to that off script.
Okay.
What would you say to a young person that kind of feels isolated by their mistakes when it comes to their relationship with God, and even being involved in their church, or feeling like they're worthy or things like that when it comes to, falling short and sinning? What would you say?
That feels isolated by their mistakes. So those are all real feelings. And it's easy to go inward when you've made a mistake. Like you're ashamed. You don't want to be out in the front, but at the same time, I think the important piece in coming back or growth is your community. So a strong church community or a strong friend community is important in bringing you back, and also your relationship with God, your individual relationship with God. But you need some people around you that are going to call you out of that dark place, kind of support you, kind of encourage you. So I think that's an important piece. It's not only just your spiritual walk, getting connected, hearing what God is saying to you, but the people around you also speaking life into you. And I think that was what was important for me, having people around me, people that I trusted, people that I knew were there for me in the highs and the lows, that spoke into my life, cared for me, and, pulled me out of that place. So I say those kind of things are what kind of, does that answer the question?
Yeah, I think
that answers the question. I'm trying to think what else, because and just to be honest, there's so many. It's so easy to get lost, and there is a weight that comes along with making mistakes. There is a weight that you feel. There is a weight that you can carry, but at some point you have to release that weight. And I think a lot of us, even older folk now, we're carrying weights that we should have released a long time ago. So it starts showing up in different spaces. It starts showing up in how we show up to spaces. We always walk into spaces with a weight on our shoulder, and it bleeds into everything that we do, everyone we interact with. But God He's forgiven us. The thing is that we have to forgive ourselves. And it wasn't until I forgave myself for the mistake and saw the blessing in it, and even the blessing in it, was I able to, walk boldly in what He had called me to do. So.
Very good. Okay, next question. How do you handle situations where your values as a Christian conflict your environment or the people you work with, or even maybe sometimes friendships?
I mean, it's not easy, but we're called to stand out. So being a Christian it's not easy. Some people, I don't know why people have this idea that being a Christian is an easy cakewalk.
Not for the weak.
It's not for the weak. You're actually being called to go against the grain. I mean, if you look at the life of Jesus, he was going against the grain. Even all the religious people. It wasn't just the worldly people. It was the religious people. He was going against the grain of what religious people said. So even in that, it's not an easy walk. So you got to get some kahunas. You have to have some balls and just stand up, and not be swayed what people might say, or how people may treat you. If God has convicted you in a certain way, if God has convicted you to do something, if God has convicted you, then stand on it. Stand fat-footed, be confident in it. Know that if God is with you, there's no amount of people that can go against you. What is that thing that they've been talking about lately? The 99 gorillas?
Yes, 100 men versus
100 men
versus
one gorilla. Yeah, I mean, you can be that one gorilla and take out 100 men, or vice versa. But I mean, I just have that image. If God is for you, there's nothing that can go against you. It's not going to be easy, but the thing that we have to remember is that we have to put our trust in Him, and He promises to be with us. And if He is with us, then, I mean, what do we have to be afraid of?
Yeah, and I think that strength and resilience just comes with continuing to study, continuing to pray. It's like being in the gym. You're not going to be able to lift those weights or be able to navigate those spaces if you don't have that foundation to kind of push you forward.
Yeah, it takes time. It takes it takes work. You got to put in something to get something out. Like you said with the weightlifting, you don't start with 50-pound curls. No, you start with 10, 15, 20, 25. Increase your reps. Increase, all that stuff, and then you grow into that. you're not just going to jump in, but it takes time, it takes dedication, it takes discipline. Discipline.
It's a hard one. Discipline.
Yeah, you got to be disciplined in. So that's with our prayer life. That's with our study. Like, do you take notes when you read the Bible? Do you, like, one thing that I love about Capital City, and I'm trying to, invest in it, like we're a note-taking church. I want us to be a note-taking church. Note-taking church. Bring your notepad to church. Bring your Bible and your notepad. We're going to go into the Word. So you can go back and reflect. You can go back and say, okay, what does this mean to me? How is this speaking to me? We're growing. This is a growth space. Nothing else. It's a classroom, but we're here to grow. We're here to get better. We're here to hear what God has for us and to get stronger and wiser so that we're able to influence not only our families, but our communities, our world. And that's how we take Sacramento for the King. So, yeah, it's a process. It's a process. What you got next?
This is a little heavy.
Oh, man. Our young people are just coming out here swinging. Like,
okay. What is one part of Christianity or Christian culture that you have questions or doubts about, and have you felt safe talking about it?
Really? That's what you want to...
This is a lot, but
okay,
I think this is important.
What's the first piece?
Yeah, I'm going to start at the beginning. What's one part of Christianity, or I would say Christian or church culture, that has, I guess I'm going to rephrase it, that has been conflicting for you? And have you felt comfortable speaking on it, or have you spoken on it? And like, what kind of, I guess, ways have you expressed that?
Okay, there are a few things. Which one do I want to speak about? Which one do I do not feel conflicted speaking about? I guess one would be you caught me off guard with this one. Cancel culture.
That's big.
The church the church can have a cancel culture that doesn't necessarily allow for grace, doesn't allow for restoration. I've experienced that, and I am challenged by it in how I just interact with people, so the cancel culture speaks to not just people doing things or sinning, however you want to put it, but it goes to a differentiation in ideas. So if I don't think or process like a historical Adventist or historical Adventist, I can now be canceled because I don't fit a specific mold, regardless of how I've been inspired or how God has spoken to me or I believe God is leading me. There is a cancel culture in terms of God still speaking and how that applies to how we live out our faith today and how we live out what God is calling us to do here in these last days.
I think, especially in the social media age, people, before, we streamed church services and things like that, people were able to kind of find their space and be with those people. But when you're able to access different congregations that don't necessarily identify with you, I think it's easier to kind of make critiques and kind of, I guess, bash what other people are doing. So I think, that's a really good point.
Yeah, I think, and I kind of touched on it, I think a couple weeks ago when I talked about, I had gave the image of the table, and there are people who sit at the table, don't bring anything to the table, don't eat at the table, but they critique the table, say that everything is wrong with the table, everything is, out of it. This isn't how it's supposed to be, or for whatever prior reference they have, and they just sit and critique everything, and don't add anything to it. So yeah, but yeah, that's one of the. How did you word it? What was it? That was one of my.
I guess one of your qualms.
Qualms, yeah. I guess you can use that word. Yeah. Things that
or
leaves me
conflicts.
upset. Yeah, conflicts. But how am I? Okay, but moving forward with that, how do I guess, manage that? I'm really trying to do what God has called me to do, regardless of what people say. And I think that is the example that Jesus set. He did everything that he was called to do, regardless of what people said. And if I follow his model, if I follow what he set for us and how he did it, everything wasn't easy. He was, he ended up being crucified for what he was called to do. So I know everyone's not going to like me. I know everyone's not going to, applaud me or cheer me. I know one day people will cheer me and the next day they'll spit at me. So it's just knowing that I'm doing what God has called me to do, doing it in love, doing it in care, and considering the people around me. But at the same time, knowing that I'm not called to, I'm called to do what God has called me to do. I'm called to walk in my purpose. I'm called to, live it out. And I mean, somebody will die if I don't do what I'm supposed to do. No more questions. I think we hit some more. So let me put it this way. I want you all to send in questions. You can drop them, when you come to church, you can DM them to me, send them to the church, message them to the church. But we want to answer some more questions for seconds. Drop them in the comments. We read the comments, we look at the comments, we interact with the comments. So just make sure you're dropping those questions, and we're going to take count of those and try to answer them, try to go deeper. Now that we're getting our room together, we're going to be having some more conversations. I'm going to bring in some of our elders, some of our members, hear some stories, and just have some dialogue on what we believe and go deeper in some of the things that we're presenting. But I'm excited for this to grow and to develop, and for us to have more conversations about what we believe, about our faith, what God is calling us to do, historically what Adventism is all about, and just how to live that out today and what that looks like. So looking forward to that. Now we're in the month of June. Man, it's crazy. We're halfway through the year in the month of June. And this month, we're really going to be focusing on our men. This is Mental Health Awareness Month for men. And I'm going to be, over the next few weeks, I'm going to really be specifically speaking to men. Woman, you can come, but make sure you bring a man with you. I don't care. It could be your husband. It could be your son. It could be your boo thing, whatever it is. Make sure you get him here to church. And there's going to be a word for them. I'm going to be challenging our men. I'm going to be pouring into our men and really talking about some things that are important, especially now in these last days, and how we show up, how we support, and just how we live out God's calling on our lives. So looking forward to that. Make sure you drop your questions in the comments. Make sure you get us your questions, and we're going to be answering some more of those, digging more into those things. But make sure you meet us here this month, in the month of June. Get everybody, all the men need to be here every Saturday, 11 a.m. here in the sanctuary at Capital City, and be a part. But here, this was Seconds. So glad that you were here to be with us. I want to thank Jordan, even though you didn't want to be on camera today. But we're excited that you were in the building. Thank you for the questions. To our young people, keep those questions coming. I'd love to answer them. We're looking forward to a very special person joining our team in a few weeks. I'm going to get you hip to that in a few. But yeah, a lot of things happening here at Capital City. You want to make sure you're a part. Make sure you're a part of this community. And God is doing amazing things here in Sacramento, California, and beyond. So God bless you. Have a great Wednesday. And I will see you soon. God bless. Later.
Bye.